Hi, this is Jack at Jack's Transmissions. We're one of the very few companies out there that has invested in vehicles for transmission testing. The GTR R35 GR6, A90 Supra, the DCT 470 SST, we have two cars for that platform. We feel it is critically important as this platform ages and the complexity of the platform to test every unit before it leaves. This 2013 DBA GTR, its whole purpose in life is to have transmissions in and out of it all day, every day. And we test every unit from relearn to drivability. Nothing compares to real world conditions. And it makes for a much higher quality product that the customer receives. We have confidence that everything is as it should be, that it works properly. And I also take video of my test drive with your transmission in it to send to you so you could see that the unit's functioning properly, and if anything's different when it goes into your car, that there must be something external going on. Either way, we're more than happy to help you. But here we go. There's an FBO trans I completed earlier today that was in this car, and this is what I do during the testing. And this happens for every single GR6 that comes through our shop. Okay, so we have our FBO trans in our test vehicle, and we don't discriminate here. The FBO is the lowest cost build that we do for the GR6, and it still gets the same treatment. It goes in my car, we run it through a relearn. This one passed a relearn. Run it up to temperature to make sure no thermal issues. I check what's called clutch crossover. We check gear engagement with the synchros to make sure there's nothing goofy going on there. There's all kinds of stuff I'm looking for while I'm testing a GR6 here. And we have test stations that we've engineered and built to test various sensors, to test various components. But I've been humbled by this industry, and I'll tell you right now, you can make some really amazing test equipment in-house and the unit will still come back. So real world testing like this is extraordinarily important. On acceleration here, I'm checking what's called a clutch crossover. Now, a common misconception with the DCT trans is when you hit the paddle, you're shifting gears, and that is not the case. A DCT has the next gear up, like in normal mode, it has the next gear up pre-selected already. So even though I'm in third gear, the odd clutch on the odd side of the transmission is clamped down and transferring power through third gear. So we're in third gear right now, but when I upshift into fourth even clutch A is open. So when I shift into fourth, the third gear odd clutch opens and the even clutch for fourth engages. And when you go from one clutch to another, from one side of the transmission to another, even to odd, odd to even, whatever, that's called clutch crossover. And in a DCT, a nice, smooth, and accurate clutch crossover is incredibly important to the feel and drivability of a DCT. But we can see by the line pressure gauge here. So when I downshift, you see it go up, upshift, you see a blip on the upshift as well, because anytime you see a blip, it's pre-selecting a gear while you're driving. So when I do this, it's not shifting gears, it's crossing over to the other clutch. I'm in third now, so odd clutch engaged, fourth clutch open, odd clutch opens, even clutch engages. So in this FBO, because it's got the carbon frictions in it, with our carbon seals and everything, and we know how this carbons get set up a little bit differently than your average clutch. It works really well. So in the middle of this turn here, I'm gonna hit it. So that's another thing about these cars is the ETS. So the best way to look at how these cars operate is the R35 is a rear-wheel drive car with front wheel assist. So back there in that turn, if the ETS wasn't transferring the power to the front like it should have, I should have just spun out in the middle of that U-turn or had a hard time controlling the SN from coming out. And it didn't do that back there. Power transferred over to the front to help pull me out of that turn, and it was a very effortless full throttle turn out of there. Turbos are pretty small in this car, so I hit pretty hard, and it pulled me right out of there, no problem. So that was really nice. So ETS is working really well. And it's another thing about these FBOs too, is I set the ETSs up differently depending on the build and the power the car makes. And the ETS for this build, I don't set up as aggressively as, you know, like a Drag 1000 build, because, you know, an FBO customer is probably not going to have a billet front diff or upgraded front prop shaft or any of that stuff. So to have the ETS set up too aggressively, it's just going to break unnecessary parts for the customer, and I don't want to do that. So with an FBO ETS, it's still a 10-plate ETS, but I set it up just a little bit softer so it's not transferring so much torque to the front. You know, if it was a Drag 1000 customer, I would set it up quite a bit more aggressively, but FBO, it doesn't need that. And to be honest, an ETS that's set up a little bit softer is actually a lot more fun. You can get you know, a little bit more oversteer out of it in the turns too, which is fun. So now I'm going to hit it 1, 2, 3. So again, I was checking that clutch crossover there, now full pressure and power to make sure it was even. There was no flare. What flare means is the clutch that's letting go, the clutch that's engaging is not engaging either on time or unable to engage efficiently enough where you get a flare in the RPM. The RPM raises up, you know, bounces the limiter or something, and then comes back down again. We don't want that either, but this, obviously this clutch is perfect. And I also did my 2-3 shift there. GR6s, the worst gear to engage is going from 2 to 3. The worst crossover to have is 2 to 3, even into an odd. There's a harmonic, or what some people call the grunt noise, that develops going from an even gear to an odd, and it's most prevalent in 2-3. So if I hit it about mid-throttle, so I shifted a little over 5,000 RPM there, that always aggravates it, where you get that, you know, when it engages, and it didn't do that. It's super smooth, it's accurate on the crossover, there's no harmonic developing out of this whatsoever, and that's primarily because we use carbon weave friction plates, which typically don't create that harmonic. They work extremely well on the crossover going from evens to odds without generating that high frequency harmonic during the shift. That's damaging to clutch baskets, the clutch itself, all kinds of stuff. And this trans it's a real joy to drive this trans. It's really nice. So, but anyway, yeah. So here we go. Simple FBO. Temperatures are up to 208 now. So no errors, no problems. Everything seems really happy here. But this is what I do, and I send a video like this to every customer for their GR6 that I test in the car. I used to not do videos. This is something fairly recent. I've been doing videos of actually testing them. But if you have a transmission either repaired or built by us here, you're going to get a video from me testing, actually driving your trans. And the nice thing about that is it eliminates any question when you get the trans. Like, we know the trans works properly. We know there are no errors, there are no odd issues, there are no noises. Everything is great. You know, it's good to go. So if you install it in your car and something different happens, you immediately have codes, or it doesn't want to go into gear, or there's something, or it's making noises, something unusual is happening, then we know it's something external from the trans. We know the trans is okay, something else is going on. Did you forget to plug something in during the install? Is the engine drive shaft loose on the front of the trans or something? You know, there could be something else going on. So it really relieves a lot of that stress on trans install when you have a built trans come to you, to know that it's right, you're not going to get a DOA. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and it makes you, gives you a bit more of an understanding of what we do here with these. We take a lot of pride in our work, and we really enjoy this stuff. I still personally rebuild the GR6s. All the other platforms are done by other employees or are very well trained. They're incredibly talented, and they do those better than I've ever done them. But the GR6s, I still do. I think the R35 platform is probably the greatest car ever made. I love this car so much. Like, I've owned so many different types of vehicles. Nothing beats this platform. It's just absolutely amazing. So I really enjoy my job. I'm there every day, work on a bench like everyone else, and all I do are these GR6s. And I'm very proud of this FBO. It's just absolutely brilliant. It's just a beautiful trans. I think the customers are going to be really happy about it. And now I got to stop this video and take another video for the customer so I can send it to them and show them how amazing this trans is. Anyways, thanks again. Thanks for watching. We appreciate you.